Good evening. My name is Debbie Moore with Advisors with Purpose, and I'd like to welcome you to tonight's webinar covering what businesses need to know about estate planning. We have about 20 minutes set aside for this topic, and then we'll leave some room at the end to answer any general questions you post during the webinar. For your information, I am recording today's session, so the next few days you'll receive an email with a link to the recording for you to be able to review the presentation again or share with your loved ones. So it is now my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Aaron Rustin. Aaron is the president of Purpose Financial Corporation. Aaron brings with him significant experience in the financial world. In addition to his private practice, Aaron recently joined our team of professionals at Advisor with Purpose, helping God's people manage God's assets to advance God's kingdom. So let's get started. Aaron, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Debbie. It's always a delight to get together. I don't know where this is reaching out to, but I have to say I'm sitting here in my office tonight looking out at, with wind chill about of a minus 34 or 35. So it's a little nippy in this part of Saskatchewan, that's for sure. But welcome, everyone. Again, not sure where you all are, but welcome to this tonight. This is a particular topic that's very near and dear to my heart because over the years, of course, running businesses and various structures, I didn't even really realize the true importance of doing this type of thing, even until probably 5 or 6 years into my practice, until one day I got hit with the reality of some family friends of ours had a business. The gentleman had got very ill, the father passed away, and they had never done any planning, and it literally cost that family hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it would have been just not an easy process, but it would have been something, had they worked through that, could have really made a difference. So you know what, I was realizing at that point, boy, we've got to work hard to make a difference. So, no, we're going to launch into this. It is a topic, again, that we could actually go on to for quite some time. It would take more than 20 hours probably to cover, not just 20 minutes, but we're going to do our best at this point. So, as a small business owner, you have dozens of things competing for your attention on a daily basis. Marketing your product or service, hiring staff, invoicing customers, all those things that keep your lights on at the end of the day. And it's an interesting fact that more than 30% of business owners have no estate plan. Many of those who do haven't updated their estate plan recently. As we know, the only thing that's truly constant, I know they say death and taxes, but we can work on both of those things in one way or another. The only thing that is truly constant is change. And just like it is in your life, so it is with your business. So whether an incorporated entity, partnership, or otherwise, business estate planning helps ensure your business matters are handled according to your wishes when you die or if you become disabled. Now, this is not a topic that people like to think about. I had a lady one time tell me they had hesitated to do up a will because she felt if she ever did a will, that would mean she was going to die. And I assured her that none of us are probably going to escape that fact, but it sure would be nice to have things put in order prior to you going on to be walking streets of gold. So proper business estate planning accomplishes 3 things. It ensures someone you trust takes over your business when you can no longer be present. Your wishes are contained in writing, also simplifying things for your loved ones if you pass away prematurely or become disabled. And it also allows you to achieve philanthropic goals while minimizing impact on loved ones. Now, I think you've probably seen this before, where really, I honestly believe in our system today, we have choices. We can give it to our loved ones in charity, or we can give it to Canada Revenue Agency. We do have a choice. Now, understand I'm saying in this, I believe we do need to pay taxes, okay? I believe give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to the Lord's what is the Lord's. So I'm not one of those that say, you know what, there's no way we should pay taxes. But I do believe we can have a choice as to where things go. While each business owner's circumstances and goals will differ, estate planning is designed to ease the strain and provide for family in the event of disability or death, reduce the tax liability of the business and the heirs, and preserve the value in the company. Can you imagine working for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, or maybe even a couple of generations, only to not have planned properly and have our government system and the administrative process take a good chunk of what we've worked to build over the years? Ensure the liquidity to cover business-related costs of death so the business can continue uninterrupted, whether it's to be sold or kept in the family. Liquidity is a key element at that time of transition. Plan for succession or transfer or sale of the owner's share in the company in the event of retirement, disability, or death. All of these are key parts of planning. That provides the opportunity to make a charitable contribution as part of your overall planning while still providing for your company and family. We're actually going to touch on an example here in a short while as to ways you from your corporation can make a tremendous difference inside of the to charities, all the charities that you support, but also can bring great value back to your family. Estate planning for small businesses can be a long, detailed process. There are multiple questions to answer, scenarios to think about, and hypotheticals to address. You shouldn't attempt to put together an estate plan on your own, as one missed issue can result in years of confusion or litigation if you die or become incapacitated. I'm sure we've all heard of some issue which has arisen inside a family where someone has passed away, and it just created nothing but arguments and fight and uneasiness within families. That's not necessary. So, okay, Aaron, you've gone on and on as usual, soaked up all the oxygen in the room. Fine. Where do we go from here? Well, let's launch it. Step 1, start with a will, enduring power of attorney, and medical directive. And I like to say where there's a will, there's your way. I drive my clients nuts for many reasons when it comes to harping on things, but one of the biggest things is having a will in place. Remember, 100% of people have a will. It's just that over 50% of those people will have it designed and distributed by the courts. And chances are pretty good that it may not be distributed the way that you had wanted. So to remove some misunderstandings, take the time, spend the few $100s, get a will, enduring power of attorney, and the like put in place. Step 2, plan for tax efficiencies. You know, it actually may be more efficient and enjoyable to pass on certain types of assets during your lifetime. Wouldn't it be neat to see charities get money right now, or your kids in some way? You and your accountant, you and your advisor can look at ways to pass assets to the next generation so that you can enjoy watching it, they can enjoy it, and overall strengthen family and possible corporation as well. Possible efficient share transfers to spouse. Again, could be multiple layers of things we could discuss there. Multiple class share structures. Key element. Having more than 1 or 2 classes of shares in your company allows you very efficient use of capital distribution now, as well as a succession plan. Potential for current or future estate freeze to pass future growth on the family and establish future tax obligations at your passing. I actually do structures and seminars on estate freezes and those things as well. So 2 or 3 hours just there. A good advisor can help you with that stuff. And you know what? Someone from Advisors with Purpose can talk to you, can give you some basics, and then you can go on and approach your individual advisor to see how these things can be implemented. Possible utilization of capital gains exemption for sales of shares rather than assets to outside party. Can you imagine someone comes along and wants to buy your company? They say, hey, you know what? I'd like to buy your farm. I'd like to buy your company, everything. I want that truck. I want this and that. And you say, you know what? How about if you just bought my shares in the company? There are distinct advantages to you, the seller, to sell your shares and the utilization of your capital gains exemption rather than selling the assets in the company. That, again, is a place where a great advisor can help you walk through that. A charitable donation or giving structure can provide an avenue for you to meet your philanthropic goals while also providing some highly effective tax planning. Seek professional assistance. Do some research yourself, yes, but seek some assistance. Tax Planning 101 boils down to proper and informed planning will greatly increase the values realized by family, charities, other company stakeholders in the event of the death, and I should say, and or possible disability of a business owner. Step 3, sort out the issues in family-owned businesses. Wow. I don't know, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen situations, because we deal with clients as we're setting things up, the mom or dad, grandpa and grandma pass away, and at the other end, when we're sitting down or the lawyers are sitting down to put things in place, suddenly someone says, that's not what dad would have wanted, that's not what mom would have wanted, they told me this, they told me that. Well, we heartily believe in sitting down with not only the stakeholders, meaning mom, dad, grandpa and grandma, but the family as well. So for instance, what if one of your children wants to be the new owner and the others aren't even interested in it? So how do you do that to make sure everyone's treated in a fair and equitable way? Now, when I say that, I'm not saying they all get the same amount of value in dollars, but how can it be fair and equitable, and how can they understand why it's being distributed like that? Maintaining the company and family bloodline. What if your child dies? Does their spouse take over their value? What if you die and your spouse remarries? Does the new spouse now control your company? Was that part of your estate plan? Little things which can become very major things if you don't address it. Some of these things are very difficult to discuss, but you know what? The best things in life take work to make sure that your wishes are carried on. And not only that, but you're making sure that things are treated in an effective, well-managed position. Is a trust arrangement a good option to protect family assets and long-term intentions of ownership? Now, I have to say, I have seen circumstances where trusts have been implemented where they probably were unnecessary, and they could become a very cost-ineffective matter and very inefficient as well. This is, again, where a good advisor can help you walk through, and advisors with purpose, the people that will be talking to you can help provide some direction, some insight, and third-party insight into those. Buy-sell agreements, step 4. It is a must-have. I wanted an even bigger font for that, a must-have, but it threw the whole page off, and I'm all about design. So, but anyways, buy-sell agreements specify who can buy an owner's share of a business, under what conditions, and at what price. It keeps a business in the hands of existing owners when one owner dies, becomes disabled, retires, or otherwise exits the business. Can also set rules around when an exiting owner's ex-spouse can lay claim to business assets as part of a marital breakdown. None of us like to talk about this whole issue of marriage and the stress and all of those things, but I hate to say it, people, but it's a reality in the society we're in today. So we have to address those things. Such things as even, and again, maybe a no-no in some prenuptial type agreements, pre-structured ideas. If something happens, then what happens to this entity? So important, can be structured in multiple ways to meet the needs of stakeholders. Buy-sell agreement, have some people, have an organization that can help you design that to make sure that your wishes are carried out. Step 5. Buy life and disability insurance. Having started in this industry 34 years ago, I started out selling kids' investment plans. Then I started into the life insurance side. And you know what? It would seem when they got a call from a life insurance agent, a lot of times they thought you were bringing, I don't know, maybe when you opened your briefcase that you had some type of plague in there. Life insurance and disability insurance is, again, topics often that people do not want to discuss, but it can play such a major key role. And insurance has changed so much over the years, you have to explore it with your advisor, with the advisor from Advisors with Purpose. We can show you some options as to what to do. We don't sell products, that's not what we're about, but we can give you some ideas of how you can use it. For instance, life insurance is a source of income for business when you die and allows for structural change. It's a source of income for your family. Imagine you passing away, a young couple, the father passed away, and I hear horrific stories of this, where there are big debts in place, the company is just getting going, maybe has some outstanding liabilities, something happens to a key stakeholder, bang, the company is gone, which means the livelihood of your family is potentially torn apart. Not only your wife and children, but it changes generations. It provides for fair and equitable treatment of family not involved, something we addressed just a little bit before. Provides possible tax-preferred funding for buyout of shares on a tax-preferred or free basis through company capital dividend account. Now, again, this is a topic we could go on forever and ever on. A lot of people, for some reason, don't utilize their corporate capital dividend account, but it's something we encourage our clients to do. It allows you to flow tax-free money out of a corporation based on gains made on the non-taxable portion of a capital gain or from the proceeds of a life insurance policy. But again, your advisor or the advisor with purpose individual you're going to be talking with can give you direction on that. It retires potential debts of company in a much more efficient and far less costly manner. Disability provides potential tax-free income replacement for short or long-term disability. It is amazing. If you ever calculated back, if you were disabled today, how much income would you not have over the next 20, 30, 40 or so years? It can range into the millions of dollars. I encourage you, I deplore you to please go and seek this out. Corporate owned, individual owned, a personal life and disability policy with your family as the beneficiary is a necessity. A company-owned life and disability policy with the business as a beneficiary is another necessity. Now, I know I've heard people talking about being self-insured and stuff as they go through time, and I can see an argument, so to speak, for that. But I'll tell you, if you have investments that are performing well over time, chances are you're going to have a tax liability in the future. Now, a good advisor can help to walk you through how to minimize that, but I would much rather cover tax liabilities, the passing of my companies, for pennies rather than having multiple dollars going out to do that. Now, the coverage could be term insurance or permanent, depending on reason for having it. Life insurance can provide a very cost-effective way to provide for legacy-type charitable giving while also offsetting possible tax payable on asset transfer. Where the potential donor is also the owner of a private corporation, there may be benefits to structuring the gift of insurance through the corporation rather than personally. Now, because life insurance premiums usually are not tax deductible unless it's a necessity to fund security for a loan or whatever, you're paying for life insurance premiums with after-tax dollars. So imagine if you paid for that policy through your corporation, paying tax at 17%, compared to paying tax at 40%, you need much less as far as money coming out of your corporate bank account, than you would from your personal. So look at that as to who owns this structure, who's the beneficiary on it, how is it structured overall. Key person insurance coverage is similar to estate protection, but now payable to the company for the purposes of hiring new leadership, staff, and training to keep the company on track. All of these are part of good estate planning when you own your business, and you are depending on yourself, on the people around you, to make sure that this is making money for you as well as those that you take care of. Create a succession plan. Estate planning documents such as your will specify who is entitled to your estate upon your death and who should run your business if you're disabled. Succession planning specifies how you, your family, and your company will prepare for a transition in ownership. It lists the proposed organizational structure of the business in the event of a succession and what positions key personnel will assume in the event of your death or disability. Remember to keep your succession plan document consistent with your will and other estate planning documents. Removes confusion, and it makes sure, again, that it's always current. Leaving a legacy. Most people would love to know that at the end of the day, when they no longer require it, they've left their mark, yes, on their family and everything, but how have they changed the bigger picture outside? A donation of shares at time of death creates gifted charity or charities, as well as preferential tax treatment for shareholders. It's a win-win strategy. So I'm going to talk very, very briefly. It's going to look a little confusing when I flip over to it right now, but I hopefully can walk you through it. But again, we can get you far more information if you require it. So the use of preferred shares and new common share issues. So here's an idea of my design work here. So what we have is we have a shareholder at the top. This is a major holder within. Step one is he says, you know what? At my death, I want to bequeath preferred shares, which I've now set up, to 1, 2, or 3 charities. Okay, and you think, well, why would an organization or why would a charitable organization want shares in your corporation? Well, what it allows us to do is it now allows us to transfer value to the charity as long as we've ascertained a true appraised value of the corporation, and we will get a donation receipt back for value. Now, just as your family probably doesn't want 2 or 3 charities helping make decisions inside the company, I'll tell you that charity doesn't necessarily want your shares either. So what does the corporation do? It buys a life insurance policy that upon the death of this shareholder, okay, so we have step 1, passing, step 2, bequeathing shares, step 3 is donation receipt back, the life insurance rolls into the corporation. But you know the coolest thing about this is it rolls in completely tax-free. The cash that is in there that was particularly for that now is paid back to the charity. All right, so now that money passes or buys those shares back. The shares are now back in the corporation. Those shares can be canceled, but have we only given to a charity, but now the neat thing is, and I think I mentioned this already, life insurance, when it comes back into a corporation, increases your capital dividend account. Now, this is an account that you can't just open your paper or your statements and say, hey, there is my capital dividend account. But what it allows you to do is anytime you sell an asset and it's a capital gain realized, the tax-free portion of that capital gain goes into the corporation's capital dividend account, and in turn allows you to roll money out to the family on a tax-free basis. That big life insurance policy for $1 million or $500,000 now becomes a portion of that as well, and those proceeds can now be rolled out to the family out of the values within the corporation. So life insurance policy pays out tax-free to corporation, cash used to buy back preferred shares from charity, increasing the capital dividend account, providing ability to draw money on a tax-free basis by family. Double win. Now, these are the types of things, again, you need an experienced advisor that kind of knows the direction, that can help you walk through this. I know it seems complicated on there, and it takes a little bit of work, certainly. You have to ascertain values and everything of the corporation, but it can make millions and hundreds of thousands or more in value back to your corporation overall. Step 7, have a discussion with the affected parties. After you create your estate plan, make sure all affected parties know what's at stake. These are hard topics to talk about, but ideally you should consult your family members and others throughout the process. Once the estate plan is in place, you and your family should sit down with your financial advisor and lawyer to make sure everyone understands what's in the plan. If everyone up front says, yeah, I get it, believe me, it makes life a lot easier. You may be walking streets of gold, but there may well be an issue back behind, because just as we said before, people didn't understand what's about to happen. The appropriate people should know where to locate your will, succession plan, and other estate planning documents. Always make sure your lawyer or your executor or whomever knows where things are. So if you, again, are unexpectedly taken, they know where to find everything. Step 8, update on a regular basis. As life keeps moving on, the only thing which is for sure consistent is change. Taxes can be mitigated or eliminated, and death thing, well, we're working on that, okay? But anyways, we won't go into that. That's a whole workshop in itself. Once you have your estate plan in place, you'll have to update it on a regular basis to ensure it reflects current laws and your current wishes for what you want to happen to your business. Tax laws change regularly, which can upend your current estate plan overall. Life events such as divorce, child's marriage, or the birth of a child or grandchild can all affect your estate planning efforts. So it's not just a matter of writing it down on a piece of paper. This is going to take work. But remember, anything of true value takes work. So, summary. What do we do, okay? After, again, all the words that I've just gone through. Start with a will, enduring power of attorney, medical directive. Step 2, plan for your tax efficiencies. Step 3, sort out issues in a family-owned business. Step 4, consider a buy-sell agreement. I shouldn't even say consider. I should say do. I'm going to replace that. I'm going to say do a buy-sell agreement. Structure one. Consider life and disability insurance. I shouldn't even have to consider. I should say do put life and disability insurance in place. Create a succession plan. Consider including charity. Have discussions with family and affected parties. And 8, again, very important, update on a regular basis. Now, all information provided is based on current rules applicable, which may change over time. The strategies shown may be applicable to everyone, may not be applicable to everyone, as each individual case will vary. It is recommended that professional legal and financial advice be sought part of the implementation of any structures. And Debbie, it is back to you.
Very good. Thank you, Aaron, for all this wonderful information. There's just so much to consume. So where do we go from here? If something that Aaron has said triggered questions, or you may want to know more about the process, or this is exactly what you've been looking for, then in the next few days, you'll receive an email from Tanya Rust. It actually appears in your email as trust@advisorswithpurpose.ca. with an invitation for you to have your own personal consultation with one of our estate advisors. So all meetings are done on the phone, so you don't have to leave the comfiness of your home or your work to speak with an advisor. You're completely confidential. The advisor will never sell you anything, as Aaron said, and the whole process is free. I would encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. So we're looking at the time. We're over it by just a couple minutes, so we're just going to answer one question here, Aaron, that was sent in. What is an estate freeze?
An estate freeze is effectively what you've done is you've taken a corporation and you've locked in the value at that point. So let's say, for instance, one of our corporations, I've built up value, my wife and I and the shareholders, up to, say, January 31st. We've built up value in that. We can say, hey, you know what? We're going to find out what the value of that thing is. We're going to take preferred shares for that value. And all of the growth in the common shares that we're having issued now to our family, they're going to participate in the value from here on in the growth in the company. So really what it does is it allows you to lock in a value for tax purposes. It allows the next generation or whomever to participate in growth from that point on. And it lets you know in advance, should something happen to that key person that took over the preferred shares down the road, we know what the tax liability will be, and it allows us the opportunity to plan for it, whether it's by insurance or other funding mechanisms. But it's really ascertaining a value right now to make things hopefully simpler down the road and have growth grow in the hands of the next generation. That's the Reader's Digest condensed version.
Perfect. Very good. So thank you, Aaron, for all your assistance this evening. Thank you to all the attendees for taking the time to learn more about this important topic. We will be in touch, and hope everyone has a good night. Thanks.
Thank you.